It is the end of Trans Awareness Week, and only weeks after a tumultuous election cycle which has left a lot of people with concern and fear. Writing in the LGBTQ+ and other spaces dedicated to marginalized people may feel really scary now, and that should be talked about. To that end, Go Indie Now has brought together a group of panelists who know this reality all too well. Some identify as queer or trans, are allies, or have queer or trans family members. So today, we listen to those who need to be heard, who need to tell their stories, and who represent a beautiful and valid part of society. And we will discuss how we, as an indie community, can help support, uplift, and defend their voices. And of course, we have a Best of the Indie Connection segment, which is indie books you might want to check out if you are a fan of Gearbreakers by Zoe Hannah Makuta. So let's get to it. Here's your host, Joe Compton.
Hi, I'm Joe Compton. I am not Joe Compton. I'm October.
Jeez. This is just how this is going this morning, everybody. So.
It's me. I'm the technical difficulties curse. It happens all the time.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to This Week in Indies. Thank you all for being here. I'm sorry for all of the lateness and distractions and all the things that are going on. It is totally on me, and I apologize profusely, y'all. So I'm just real sorry. Which is whatever. Okay. Listen, today I'm here to really just keep the conversation going and to listen. This is very important to me as an ally and as somebody who just wants to be there for my friends and help my friends out, who you can see and probably have seen since I screwed up the coming in and everything like that. Right here. I'm so grateful to each and every one of them for being here to talk about this and this very important topic and to give their thoughts and, help kind of just facilitate an opportunity to speak on these issues. So let's go down the line and say hello to everybody. We'll start with Mr. October Santarelli.
Hi, like I said before, I'm not Joe Compton. I'm October K. Santarelli, and I am a transgender author. I also identify as gender nonconforming, which is a form of non-binary, and gay. So I'm like half the alphabet soup all by myself. I primarily write fantasy books, but I also do scripting for comics, and I have a featured webtoon coming out this year in 2025.
You were a little scratchy there, Toby. I don't know if that was just me or...
Oh.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, I think everybody heard it a little bit. So, all right, Juliet.
Hey, so I am Juliet Rose. I am a multi-genre author. I am also the mother of 2 LGBTQ+ children. And so, yeah, this is a subject I'm very passionate about.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. All right, Ariel.
Hi, I'm Ariel Dawn. I write primarily paranormal romance, monster romance, pretty much all genres of romance, and all pairings of romance. So that's me.
All right, Lily.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lily Lucchesi. I'm USA Today bestselling author of urban fantasy, and I also write various subgenres of romance as Samantha Calcott and S.L. Sinclair, and I also run Partners in Crime Book Services. I am bisexual. I am non-binary with femme presenting. I go by she, they, and I am also demisexual. So like October, I have quite a few of those, the alphabet soup, sitting right here.
Awesome. All right, AJ.
Hi, I'm AJ Mulligan. I write romance of various genres, subgenres, pairings, etc. I am in a hetero marriage, but I am bisexual. And I'm glad to be here today with all the others.
All right, I think everybody's having a little funkiness. AJ, your mic was very muted as well.
I think it's because I was trying to get away from my mouth so I wasn't like breathing into it. But if you want to hear me breathe the entire episode,
Let's do it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. I want to start on a positive note. I know there's a lot of negativity going around right now, or not negativity, but a little bit. There's fear and so what is it? I want to know from each of you what is your favorite thing about writing in this space? What about the LGBTQ community have you been encouraged by and thankful for in terms of having this career writing in this space?
I just love the openness and variety, and the fact that readers and authors alike are able to accept things that even 5 years ago were considered so off the board, and now it's like it's everywhere, and I'm loving that.
I gotta second that one because you see Gingerbread Kisses here next to me. I enjoy bringing queerness to these genres that especially so many people consider heteronormative. Gingerbread Kisses not only features my lesbian romance, it also has another author's poly romance, where there's different pairings within the polycule. And that's just not something you see in that genre. And I think that's something that I love doing personally. I get to bring all of this queerness in reality because, unlike what a lot of people say, we exist just to exist. I have not written a single book that doesn't have a queer character somewhere, even though if it doesn't, I'm not going to categorize it all as queer because we just exist. But that's what I love about being able to do this, is bring awareness to everyone.
I'm going to have to jump. Oh, go ahead. Did you want to go, Julia? Okay. I was going to say, I kind of want to jump on that and say the inclusivity of the communities, just in being aware and acceptive of so many different types of books, from your polycule books to your male romances to all the other types of books that are out there. I feel like there is such a wide variety. Now, I grew up reading a lot of male romance, believe it or not. And so I remember a time when there wasn't a ton of it. When there was only a few books here or there passed to me, by my friends in high school. And now there's so much out there. And I really love, as a writer, being able to explore all the aspects of love and all the different types of pairings of love and all the different personalities and traits. And I do think representation is so important, both in what we read and write. So,
on the subject of inclusivity, that's one of my favorite parts. Is I do a lot of in-person shows, and one of my favorite things is when I go, yeah, this book has a non-binary character, this one has an asexual main character, and people are like, I'm in the book, and they get all excited about it. Like, that's my favorite part, is the reader reaction when you're there in person. You're like, you're in this book, and they get really excited.
Yeah, I think for me, what I've really appreciated is the kind of stepping away from the tokenization of LGBTQ characters. Because for so long, yes, they put a gay character in there, but they were always like not a person. They were just the token put in there for either humorous effect or just so they could say that they did.
Awesome. All right. So, the indie space has provided a lot of this opportunity, right? And so, there are growing fears and growing concerns about, representation and being able to produce this product out there into the world and have the world see it, right? And accept it. So I'm kind of curious, knowing what you know about, we're all Americans, so we're all aware of what's going on in this country and what's about to happen, right? And so what are you doing to prepare for that probability of there being some marginalization, some exclusivity being bandied about, some opportunities for some people to hate,
I'm going to stick my head in the sand and keep my head down, my mouth shut, because I live in a red state where open carry is all the rage. And so, yeah, as far as in real life, I'm going to kind of keep my to myself a little bit until I can read the room, so to speak, on how things are changing. But I'm going to keep writing what I write because that's just, I can't just not.
Yeah, I kind of feel I'm in a little bit in the same boat, where it's I can't not write because writing for me is such a coping mechanism, which is kind of how I got into writing in the first place. It's always been kind of like my escape, my coping mechanism. So in the absence of anything else, all I can do is write, and that's all I'm gonna do. So.
I think one of the things, especially me being a service provider as well as an author, I have had people come to me being like, my books have very explicit content, even the people who write, hetero romance. And that's one of the things being attacked, particularly the ones who write, LGBT. We're like, what is going to happen to us? Are they going to put bans on us? Are they going to make our books illegal? And there are so many different things that a lot of us are planning to do and working on and workshopping together almost daily. I have a couple different chats going with clients. And one of the things, and Joe, I said this with you on 21 Grams, the main thing that I'm going to do is, yes, I'm preparing for the worst. We have to, as creators, as business people, but I'm just going to keep writing. I am not going to let any of these people silence me. Maybe if this had been a few years ago, maybe I would have, but I'm absolutely done trying to be put back into a closet. I am done trying to be made to seem as though love is illegal and wrong, and especially love within our art is wrong. Art has always been a form of protest, and I'm going to keep making art as a form of protest.
So one of the things Project 2025 has listed is the categorization of trans folks as pornography and then making pornography illegal. So my best resistance is to just keep existing because apparently that'll be illegal soon. So I'll have to do anything extra. I'm already going to be civil unrest, but I'm not going to stop writing either, and I'm not going to stop writing queer themes, even in like the Book of the Witch's Son has a cisgendered male main character who falls in a non-binary romance, but the theme is feeling like you're stuck between two worlds, and it's a very trans theme where you're trying to figure out which side is louder, and so I'm not going to stop writing queer themes in disguise. And my audio is awful, apparently. Sorry.
Yeah, so look, I'm also a librarian. I raised my kids in a red state. Just that's what I could afford to live. So I definitely have already addressed this issue for years. I was very concerned. I moved to a small town in a red state because I could afford to buy a house there. And I was very concerned about raising my kids there, but they found their people. And I think that's important to remember is we need to stay the course. We have people out there, and the stronger we are as in a group. And so the fact is we should just continue to stick ourselves out there. I'm never going to shut up. Anybody that knows me well knows I don't shut up about anything I believe in. So I'm going to continue to do that. And I think that's the important thing is they want us to disappear easy. They don't want the fight because they don't want the fight for anything. They're, a bully is a bully because they want you to just take what they're giving. But as soon as you stand up to a bully, they stop. And I'm not saying that it doesn't come at a cost because it does. But that cost is going to exist no matter what.
I want to go through the chat real quick and to have Anita's here. A.L. Mengel says, hello, everyone. While I do not write LGBTQ books, I do have LGBTQ characters, themes, undertones in my supernatural thrillers. And yes, I am fighting technical elements. Well, apparently, all of us are this morning. There's something to see. They're trying. No, I was going to say they're all trying to keep us down already, but it's not. That's not the case. It's
is my audio any better?
Bad luck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Bless you. So there you go. That wasn't aimed at you, by the way. That was just luck that I happened to put that up there. As LGBTQ myself, I write about characters who explore the same questions and push back from society that I've experienced. The stories themselves are written to appeal beyond the LGBTQ community. There was a gay couple in my sci-fi series written directly. I made every effort to show them as normal in the story as other relationships. And I write characters, market books at LGBTQ events. As authors, I feel we are role models. I find it important to keep writing LGBTQ. And yes, it was farty. Now it's so,
That's what I talked about earlier. What he was saying, my paranormal detective series, that's straight up urban fantasy. There is a romance that appears heterosexual, but you actually discover reading the series. I discovered along with my characters. They came out to me. I have a demisexual and I have a couple of gay characters who are very directly, but again, I have absolutely no straight characters. And I got dinged for that in reviews for that book. It was unrealistic to have so many gay people in one group.
But you can have all straight people, and that's not a problem, right? You know?
Right. And all of my friend groups that started out straight, we all wound up gay, the whole group. So, you know, that's more realistic.
all right. So I'm curious for myself and maybe some people in the audience, what can I do to help you all with, as far as books go and writing goes? Obviously, buy the books, read the books, review the books. That's typical of anything that we're doing. But is there something more beyond that that I can offer that will help you all in your pursuit?
So it's the end of Transgender Awareness Week, and there's also a Trans Book Week on Book Talk. And those seem to be the only times that people are actively talking about my books. So what could help is talking about the books of queer authors outside of special weeks and months. I'm not a theme. I'm not just selling books in June. I'm selling them all the time.
Yeah, and as a librarian, request books from your library. That's something I've been doing, even if I don't have time to read it. We are part of a system where we can pull books from other libraries too. My library is run by, I can't say that, but it's basically very pertinent to the existing society. So one of the things I've been trying to do is pull in books from other libraries that are basically LGBTQ books. We have some, we don't have a lot, but I want to make sure that there's access to those books as well in the library. And so just by people don't know, but libraries go off, everything is off how many books are checked out, what books are checked out. That's how they decide what to put in libraries. That's how they decide what to get rid of. So, even if you don't have time to read the book, check it out, because it helps keep those books in the library.
And along those same lines too, even going to your local bookstores, even going to bigger chain bookstores like Barnes and Noble, things like that, request those books to be carried in these bookstores where you shop, because even just if it's a small independent bookstore versus, a wide corporate chain bookstore, either way, that's your books are being seen and you're spreading that awareness, and somebody may be able to pick up that book at that local bookstore that they might not be able to get at Barnes and Noble, vice versa. And just keep the awareness out there, request the books wherever you go.
And I think another thing that is very important, because you go, to different cons and everyone has a real life. Everyone has a life outside of the writing world, outside of the Facebook world. And anyone, especially who is straight and hetero, cis, brain fart. If you guys can go and talk about us and our books in your very straight cis circles, that is so important to keep us in the conversation. This would be a conversation where you guys would be talking about so many different books and making sure that us queer authors with our queer books are represented in a normal, everyday way that creates that level of normalcy. Just the way that checking it out at the library creates that demand. Having those conversations where people can't see and they're private, it still causes, it's a ripple effect, and it goes forward and forward. Someone's going to find a book that they love by one of us without thinking, oh, I'm deliberately reading a queer book during a queer month. It's just, it is that word of mouth. It helps tremendously.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Keep us, even if you can't afford to buy the books, even if you can't get to the library for whatever reason, keep us at least in your conversations. Keep talking about it like it's normal, because it is. People don't want to admit that it's normal. It is. It's as normal as breathing. So as long as you keep presenting it that way, it'll help get the word out there that, hey, this isn't something that's odd. It's just part of life.
Yeah, and you know, if people are uncomfortable, you know, you have to go inward and you have to look at yourself. And if you're uncomfortable when you're reading something, you're uncomfortable when someone's talking about a certain type of book, you know, that's some self-reflection people need to do, because ultimately that's what really stops it. I still hear people whisper LGBTQ. Oh, do you have any LGBTQ books? You know, like something like that, because they're afraid to say it. Well, part of that is that discomfort level. Get uncomfortable, address it, and get comfortable with it, because it's here.
And that is another thing. This doesn't just apply to books, but in this instance, it can completely apply to books. If you hear someone saying something or making it seem like it's weird to have LGBT characters in what is otherwise a straight genre or a straight book, like I really want to read some LGBT main characters, especially like trans or non-binary characters, as the lead of a thriller. I would love something. I know I probably should be the one to write it, but I don't write those, so.
Hey, my book kind of falls like that. My book, we don't matter. It's suspense, and it wasn't, you know, it's just a story. That's what it is. It's a story, and it's got the thrill and suspense.
But yeah, it's just don't other us, right? Bring us into that conversation. That is just the number one thing that anyone can really do for us. Just don't make us seem like we are taboo and we are this scary thing that you have to whisper. You know, I don't want to have to whisper anymore. I don't want to have to hide my Pride merch anymore. And every single straight cis person who helps talk about us is helping us more than they know.
I actually wrote about that when I made a big little blog post thing about Transgender Awareness Week. And I wrote about how one of the things that you can do to make everything safer for us, not just as authors, but as queer people, is to normalize the fact that we're here. The more often people just talk about us existing, let alone existing in publishing spaces, the more normalized and accepted it is by society. When I first came out, it was the early 2000s. It was not cool to be trans, and it was really rough. But as more people kept talking about transgenderism, it became way easier. Like, just the 20-year difference is vast.
Like, I came out 16 years ago now. That was as bisexual. I only just realized I was non-binary and under the trans umbrella because I felt, well, if I present female, I can't be under that. But coming out in itself is an act of courage. And I wanted to make sure other people felt that courage. One of my favorite singers, Otep, she gave me that courage to come out. I wanted to do it for other people. And I have wound up just by being very loud. And my mother was like Juliet. She was an amazing ally, an amazing straight ally. Like, and all the things that we had people come to us who wanted bravery to come out and said, because you were loud, we were able to come out. And that is what people need to remember. We need to be loud to give other people that sort of courage.
Jumping on that, I also kind of think that's it brings it full circle too with the media, you know, with us writing, with us creating the content that we create, to be able to have a space that is safe for people to read and maybe process those things before we're able to really process them outward. I think that that's very important, and that's one of the main reasons why I tend to kind of fall more into writing the characters that I write. I write everything, like I said, but I also feel like there's a sense of safeness when you're reading it or when you're being able to consume that media, whether it be books or whether it be movies or whether it be artwork, whatever avenue you are, that you consume that. I feel like it's very important because it can give you the courage to be able to either say those things to yourself or to say them out loud.
And sometimes it's going to be scary.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the reality of it. I've been harassed at events. I came out as an author, like as publicly trans, when I started my author career, actually out of fear. I'm not ashamed of it, but I also saw somebody else get blackmailed for being trans and not coming out. And her reaction was, well, they can't blackmail me if I come out, so now I'm coming out. And I didn't want to be put in that situation, so I came out, even though I wasn't 100% certain I wanted to. And like I said, I get harassed at events. I've gotten hate online, and yeah, it's going to be rough. But being one of the people who takes it now makes it easier for the next person after me to take less.
I agree. And I was going to say, like, I have been called a bad mother because I have 2 LGBTQ children, one who's trans. I have been told that I failed. I don't let it bother me. That's their hangups, not mine.
I think that honestly, people could like smell the gay on me when I was very little or something. I remember, and adults talk around kids like they can't hear them. I remember my mother getting asked by a distant relative, "What are you going to do if she turns out to be a lesbian?" And they, that was the only thing they could think of, in the early 90s. I was like 3-4 years old. I remember this. And my mother said this, and she said this after I came out too. Well, she has 2 rules if she does. The woman needs to be pretty and she needs to treat her well. Like, I don't know what they were expecting, but my mom, very Sicilian Catholic. I think they were expecting my mom to freak out. There are still people who have no idea that I'm LGBT, that I'm related to or know well, because they're not safe people. But that's why, like October said, existing now when we are in unsafe situations, it's going to make people safe later.
I think also an important thing as far as allyhood and helping the community is realizing that the stuff you do as kids, like that, making fun of people for being queer or appearing to be queer, it hurts more than you know. So be aware of what you're doing, in your everyday life too, not just when you're buying a book or reading a book or when you're watching a movie, but in your everyday life, be as accepting as you can be, because people see that. I probably would have realized a lot sooner what I am if I hadn't been teased and insulted as a kid, you know? So there was a lot of denial on my part because of that, and it's hard to come out and be like, yo, this is who I am, when you get like terrorized for even before you know it,
I went through conversion therapy before it was illegal here. Yeah, the terrorizing
That makes me
part.
so mad. I'm sorry. I'm just like, that really pisses me off. Like
my heart just went like, no.
Yeah, no. It was, like I said, I came out in the early 2000s. I'm a lot older than I look, guys. I'm in my 30s. So I came out when I was like 14 years old, back before transgender was even much of a thing that was talked about, and my parents panicked. They do much better now, much better. But, they panicked and they sent me to a therapist, a conversion therapist, to see if they could, fix it, because at the time it was a problem. Since then, way better. But I did go through conversion therapy. I was tormented into being straight for a little bit. And then the moment that I made it to college and I called my mom and she was like, yeah, I made it home to my, in the other state, I was like, great, I'm coming out. So for those of you out there who feel like you might have to go stealth again, like I did to get through the rest of high school, that's valid. So I want to put that out there. That's valid. Come out when you feel safe. And if you feel like you need to not talk about it for a little bit, that's valid. You can still read our books and get a little bit of that solidarity.
Yeah, books always have that comfort, right? No matter what,
Queer books saved my life. In the middle of my conversion therapy, I read Mercedes Lackey's Magic's Pawn, Promise, and Price. And it was the first time I saw queer representation in fantasy media. And that was so encouraging that in the middle of my conversion therapy, that's what kept me going, was reading that book over and over again. it's the pages are falling out now.
I read that in high school too. Yeah, absolutely. A great series.
It took me like ages to come across anything with a bisexual protagonist, and you still don't really get them. It's still, some of them still aren't explicitly stated. I mean, everybody knows how queer The Interview with the Vampire is, and nobody talks about it because it's not explicitly stated. And I think that's something that we get to do in the indie world that's so important. We have 0 people and 0 hierarchies that we have to go through to get our stories out there into the hands of people who are like us. I am actually writing, and she is not out yet as I'm writing my very first official non-binary main character right now. And I'm so excited because I want more of us to know it's okay to exist. And that is what being indie is so amazing. No, we don't have to go through a publisher and a publicist that tells us, well, maybe you should tone it down. Nope. Sorry, we're here and you can deal with it. And we're going to make other people happy. And we're going to make other people comfortable. And whoever is uncomfortable can unpack that.
I've
I
been
think. Go ahead.
sorry. I've
No,
been
you-
trying to shop a transgender retelling of Cinderella, and that has been going very interestingly. Speaking of the publishing world, there's a whole lot of I don't get it, and I'm like, well, you wouldn't, you're cis. So like,
I think part of what's great though is that even though Lily talks about explicitly saying this character is XYZ as far as their categorization, I think being implicit and just having it be there as part of the story, but not stated for the shock value or not stated for the in your face value. I think having characters that are queer in the story and having them just exist and not putting a focus on it, just making it part of the story, like it's part of life. I think that's important too, because if you can see in the characters, hey, they're living life normally and everyone's treating them normally, this can be the way things could be. I think that's important too. But it's a balancing act. Like you've got to make it important, but you've also got to make it inclusive and not exclude the characters from their lives by singling them out as different. You know.
Yeah, and don't fetishize them. That's one thing that drives me crazy. Is it's a big market right now is fetishizing, especially the male to male romance, and don't do that. Write people as people, write characters as characters.
A.M. Mengo said, I was raised Catholic and lived in the closet for a long time. It was a long period of coming out, which took years. My books have helped me big time. All right. I think that's a good note to kind of take a breath. And go ahead, Toby.
Before we go, there's a question that we missed further up in the chat.
Yeah. I'm going to do that on the other side of the break. So
Sounds good.
yeah, I saw it too. Yeah. I just figured it was kind of a general question. So it's going to lead me into what I want to talk about after we come back. So awesome. All right. Well, another ally to the LGBTQ community is CL Cannon. And each week she had provided us with some wonderful books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of certain books and indie books out there. So these are some more books you can absorb to help, with your journey and getting into LGBTQ communities and supporting authors of that who are writing in those genres. And this is one of those best of that we had. CL wanted me to mention, and I was going to mention it anyway, that each time she does one of these, she tries to find at least one LGBTQ book to include, no matter what she's talking about, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's Neil Gaiman books, whatever the case may be. But this is exclusively an LGBTQ book, so this is all of that. So this was the one that she wanted to put out there for this show, so this is what we're doing. And then we'll be right back to talk a little bit more about this. I'm sorry, everybody. It's just been a weird morning. All right, here we go.
guys, C.O. Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. Today I'd like to tell you about some indie books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of...
No sound. All right. Perfect.
There
Was
was
that me, or did you
there
all
was
hear
sound.
sound?
Yeah,
I
there was
could hear
some.
something.
We heard her.
A little
Okay.
faint, but yeah.
Yeah, it was soft, but it was there. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. I'm going to replay it. So here we go.
Hey guys, C.O. Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. Today I'd like to tell you about some indie books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of Gear Breakers by Zoe Hana Makuta.
The first book I have for you is called Love and Chaos by Poppy Woods. The second collapse changed the world forever. Chris has spent her entire life in her tribe, safe from the pollution that still clings to more populated areas. They grow crops to sell in the cities, they hunt for their meat, and they take care of their own. Their rural way of life ensures the politics of the cities doesn't reach them, until one day it does. Like all orphans, Love Ward has conscripted into the Venus Guard as a child. She has done her best to take the opportunity and make it into a career, something she can be proud of. The Venus Guard is her family. But the New Republic has secrets, the kind of secrets that can get a low-ranking officer like Love reassigned and even killed if she's not careful. When chaos erupts around them, the two women find themselves at odds, but with only each other to rely on. Their shared past and the growing attraction between them can only serve as a distraction as they fight for their lives. Can a guard from the cities and a girl from the tribes expose the New Republic's dirty secrets? Can they change their world without losing their lives? Or their hearts? The second book I have for you is called Adrift in Starlight by Mindy Breyer. When set adrift in the universe, some things are worth holding on to. Titan Valentino has been offered a job they can't refuse. Ty, a gender-neutral courtesan, receives a scandalous proposition: seduce an actor's virgin fiancé. The money is enough to pay off Ty's crushing medical debt, a tantalizing prospect. Too bad Aisha Malik isn't the easy target they expect. A standoffish historian who hates to be touched, she's laser-focused on her career and completely unaware that her marriage has been arranged behind her back. This could be the one instance where Ty's charm and charisma fail them. Then, an accidental heist throws them together as partners in crime. Fleeing from the authorities, they're dragged into one adventure after another. Alien planets, pirate duels, and narrow escapes from the law. As Ty and Aisha open up to each other, deeper feelings kindle between them. But that reward money still hangs over Ty's head. Telling Aisha the truth could ruin everything. Their freedom, their career, and their blossoming love all hang in the balance. To save one might mean sacrificing the rest. The third book I have for you is called Skythane by J. Scott Coatsworth. Jameson Haverkamp, a psych from a conservative religious colony, has come to Oberon, unique among the common worlds, in search of a rare substance called pith. He's guided through the wilds on his quest by Xander Kenosin, a handsome, cocky wingman with a troubled past. Neither knows that Oberon is facing imminent destruction. Even as the world starts to fall apart around them, they have no idea what's coming, or the bond that will develop between them as they race to avert a cataclysm. Together they will journey to uncover the secrets of this strange and singular world, even if it takes them beyond the bounds of reality itself to discover what truly binds them together. And the last book I have for you is called Fall of the Pathfinder by L.C. Lowe. The company controls his life, but not his destiny. Working for ARC in the depths of space, 17-year-old Julian Sastry has struggled in the mines for 2 years to make the family name mean something again. He is a pathfinder, the most dangerous and elite job in the mines, seeking out the richest growths of C6. When he is blamed for an explosion that causes a collapse, he flees into the ruins of Old Easton, the city his father's mistake destroyed a decade ago. The only ally Julian has there is Garrett, a charming thief with secrets of his own. Ark is determined to capture him, and the wasters who live in what's left of the city are more than they appear. Will Julian decide to protect what he truly cares about and find his own path?
Okay, that's all for me this week. I'll see you next week on the Indie Connection. Bye.
As always, thank you to CL Cannon for a wonderful Best of Indie Connection. We're very proud of this series, and we are grateful that she has chosen our show to debut all of these, which you can check out on her playlist on YouTube, which I have actually put the link into the description for everybody, so you can go check out all the books she recommends for indie books you might enjoy if you're a fan of something. And I guarantee you, your fandom is probably there. And we're looking forward to 2025 when she returns with brand new episodes. But I wanted to bring up the question that was brought up in the chat for everybody. By chance, do you all put your stuff on Hoopla? Is Hoopla accessible for indie creators?
It is accessible for indie creators. It's extremely easy if you go through Draft to Digital. I personally don't have most of my stuff there. I am KU exclusive. Before it was so easy to publish wide, I cultivated a KU audience. So right now I have to keep publishing to my market. But on behalf of librarians everywhere, especially if you can use Hoopla, Libby, all of that, please do, because authors do benefit from it. So anything you can do with your local library, please do. And many, many queer books are available on there as well.
There's also a program that has recently come out, which is like Libby and Hoopla, actually pulls from Libby and other sources, called the Palace Project. They also work with indie authors. They have if you go to the Palace Project, and Lyricist is their head company, they have a page about how indie authors can get their books onto the Palace Project as well.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Draft to Digital. The Book of the Witch's Son is actually 4 novellas in one, and those 4 novellas are available on Draft to Digital and through Hoopla. So.
Most of my stuff's on KU, so yeah.
I'm curious. This leads me to one of the questions I was going to ask, which is, Amazon's kind of deemed the evil empire, for various reasons, and not just because of political stances. Mostly it's because of their horrible, horrible customer service and the things that they do. But I don't care. Ban me. I don't care, Amazon. But going wide is a selective process for an author to begin with. It's a daunting process. It's a thought process. And for LGBTQ directive novels and novellas and stories and things of that nature, is that something you weigh heavy? Is that how and especially right now, is it important? Is it more important to go wide with that aspect, or is it something to say, hey, Amazon, we're here, deal with it. We're gonna make Amazon work in that respect. Is it, or is that just an individual choice for an author?
It's a little bit of both. It is an individual choice. Like I said, when I started writing, KU was the main thing, and that is where I cultivated my reader base. That is where a lot of, especially my dark romance pen, a lot of dark romance readers, if they're not buying direct from the author, if the author's been banned, they're going through KU because it's such a wide genre. Reverse harem is the same. People just read so much that KU is what they need. I am in discussions with other KU only clients of mine and myself to have a plan to go wide. We do have a plan just in case Amazon does start banning us. But something that I would like to note, and again, I'm not dissing a platform. We all know Amazon's a royal pain in everybody's ass, so I'm not dissing any extra platforms. Kobo, from what I understand, goes through Walmart and Rakuten, and they all have sort of the same parent company, who is a red company. So I'm not entirely certain that Amazon would be our only enemy as queer authors. So one of the biggest things, I think, if anything starts to happen where we're removed, the first thing we need to do is build a strong newsletter and a website for direct sales. That is our safest option as LGBT authors.
sign up for our newsletters.
By the way.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, go ahead, Debbie.
Oh, sorry. It is. There are a lot of places that we can migrate to. Draft to Digital is run by very queer-friendly people. I've met most of them, and it's going to remain a safe place. And they list everywhere, and they give you the option to like check mark where you want to list things, so you can take sites like Amazon and Kobo off. So
yeah, and I was going to say, I think it is important if you're looking at it kind of a social issue to go wide, in the sense that not everybody has access to, say, KU or to certain things, and being able to have things that are available through library systems, through, you know, other ways that people can get that. You know, you're reaching youth that may not be able to get that anywhere else. You know, you're reaching people that might feel isolated. I do think it's a personal decision, but I think that there is some importance in considering, you know, the markets we're trying to reach.
I just wanted to jump on that and say there's also the option too, because I'm hybrid. I'm both. I have a ton of stuff in KU and I have a ton of stuff wide. So I think too, there's something to consider there too, just in the aspect of the audience, like Julia was saying, that you're trying to reach. You know, and I think Lily is the one who mentioned it. You know, KU is, for certain genres, is very popular. And then outside of that, you know, being wide for certain genres is very popular too. So I think it just comes down to, you know, the author and, you know, the decision of where they want to put their books at the end of the day. And just because you're in one doesn't mean you have to stay there forever. So, you know, there's always the possibility that things can change and move to, as people buy the books. You know, if you start to see more of a increase, you know, with some of those books wide, then, you know, it may be a good idea to keep them wide. So I think it just boils down to the individual author. But
Anita says authors may find direct outlets in addition to retailers. So.
That's what I do. I go to conferences and I sell my books direct. That's a really good way to do it. Unfortunately, most of my conferences are in the South, so I'm going to have to find some new ones. But I do sell my books directly, and then direct outlets like social media. I'm actually picking up a lot of traction on Blue Sky, and I'm going to be so annoyed if that's my platform because I resisted for so long. But, you know, direct outlets like social media and newsletters, like Lily said, and, you know, we are reaching out directly as well. You're going to have to do that.
Yeah, places like Blue Sky and TikTok where they're not run by American companies. That's very important.
And we have to work on keeping TikTok here in America and not getting it banned, because that's a very real possibility now.
Yes.
But yeah, the direct sales, in-person sales, especially if you're kind of awkward, but in-person sales is the best way to meet other people and for them to see you, see the author, especially, you know, doing it as an LGBTQ author. When I did my first signing, almost all of my books, I think half of them had some sort of LGBT pairing. And I think that was very important to have a presence at signings. And it's great that so many signings are very welcoming. I'm very grateful that my next two, first one was in Canada, and my next two are going to be in blue states, because I'm now very, very picky about where I'm going and where I'm sending my money.
Anita says she had great luck on Blue Sky recently. So there you go.
I joined a couple of days ago, and I have almost 150 some odd followers in like 2 days. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I don't even know most of them.
I joined yesterday, but I don't have anything up.
I did join as well just the other day.
Yeah, I think people were clamoring for a Twitter substitute, and Blue Sky became that pretty quickly. You know, although there are still people who are resistant to the idea that your characters are reduced, but you know. Yeah. Because we all like to pontificate, don't we? We're
I write very large posts on Facebook.
Same.
I'm gonna have to do those, like, what I'm gonna do the thread things. I don't know how to do it. Like I said, I joined just a couple of days ago, but like, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do those thread things.
Very small. You use a lot of shorthand.
a lot of symbols, right?
Like texting in 2001.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Oh god, that takes us down.
Okay. I yeah, all the people are fleeing Twitter to went to Blue Sky. Yeah, for sure. I think also I like the interface of Blue Sky and how it's kind of dealt towards whoever you're following and followers following you, because I don't get all the crap that you get on Twitter and Facebook that
I like the lists.
Yeah.
The list function where you a lot of people are putting together author lists and book lists, and Book Talk has migrated over, and I'm on like half a dozen Book Talk lists, and I'm like, oh, that's probably why I'm getting some.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I would love to know from all of you a moment you're most proud of in terms of your writing career and your authoring. What is it that you've really what moment do you feel like you go, all right, I'm okay, I'm gonna be okay? I know that's a little hard now, but I mean, looking back on it, is there a moment that you go, you know what, I'm gonna enjoy that?
I think the popularity of it's not the book that's shown in the picture here, but Call Me Bunny is a reverse harem with
Great
in it. a male couple that's in the polycule, and a couple male couples in the polycule actually. But people really seem to enjoy that, and I think they like the relationship, and not just, like Juliet was saying, fetishism. They like the relationship of the characters, and people are really enjoying the book, really excited for the prequel that's coming up. And I think that is really something I'm proud of, that I was able to write that to where people enjoy the relationship and not just the smut of it.
I think opening the S.L. Sinclair pen name for me, because it started with the Santini family, which book 4, I'm trying to get Amazon to push the updates before I actually publish this. I had a couple things screw up, but the final book's coming, and I have people asking me about it, and I had seeing sales go, and it is LGBT, it is poly, because it's not just RH, it is poly. Everyone's in a relationship together, all 4 of them. It's not just a harem. And I realized that, writing that and writing what I wanted to, because the idea had been in my head since I was like 16, it made me realize, you know what? I'm not making enough to live off of yet, but I can get there. It was the first time in my career where I'm like, I can make money off of this and not just my editing, not just the day job. So that moment of realizing it, that was like, I now know what I need to keep working towards.
I always have like little moments like that. They pop up every so often when I'm feeling, the imposter syndrome, or I'm feeling the like, oh God, like, why do I keep doing this type thing? I had one yesterday where just out of nowhere, somebody emailed me. I was filling my digital rewards for my Kickstarter, which my Kickstarter was featured on the show before. It was for a reverse harem series called Ashwood, which is my best-selling series. And somebody just messaged me just to tell me, thank you for putting the book into words and for letting them read it. And I was like, I'll be okay. That was what I needed to hear. And that was exactly what I needed to hear it. So
Juliet, go ahead.
Juliet, go.
No, Toby, you're fine.
It's like awkward silence. My turn. No, I got an email like that actually from somebody in a different country. And she said that she saw my book on social media, and she just wanted to let me know that even little old ladies across the pond enjoy my writing. And I was like, I'm reaching older generations and younger generations. I just went to Multiverse in October, and I made friends with somebody who has an 8-year-old son who is also gender nonconforming, who likes hair bows and skirts like me. And so I have younger influence and older influence, and it feels really good to see that I am making changes on both sides of the age spectrum. And also is really reassuring. Like I said, I love it when people see that there are ace characters in a book and I'm an ace main character in a book, and I've stated that it is an ace character in this book, and they get so excited to be represented in these stories, because they're usually, like, if they're there, they're not usually the main character and they don't usually get a romance. But I've written 2 asexual romances.
Instant add to TBR. I have to go read them now.
One of them's not out yet. One of them I just finished writing and turned into my publisher. It's the first in a 12-book series that comes out at the end of 2025.
Nice.
I just talked to Joe about mine. My Paige Papillon series. She's asexual, and I didn't quite realize that. She's also my first openly autistic character too, and I am not ace, so I did have some issues, and I did go to a sensitivity reader to make sure, like, did I write this okay? And yeah, it's nice when you get someone writing you and being like, oh, hey, she's like me. Yes, that's what I want.
Yeah, I think for me, you know, when I originally was kind of working with some different story ideas and running them by different writers groups of people, they were like, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to include those characters? Are you going to limit your readership? And my life motto is don't tell me what to do. So I did what I wanted to do anyway. And but the neat thing for me was actually when I had people that my goal when I write is to try to get people to think differently by using fiction. And so when I've had people reach out and say, you know, they would have not normally like maybe read the book, or maybe they were on the fence about how they supported certain things, but then they came to me and said, you know, after reading your book and really connecting to your characters, I see things differently. And that's always been my goal. And so that's what I continue to do.
Awesome. All right, before we say, you know, give some recommendations out there, which was Lily's suggestion for our little epilogue this morning, I wanted to just open it up, and this is an opportunity for you all to talk about anything you want to talk about within this space. You know, I realized that you know, I had steered the conversation, but this is your conversation to have, so I want to open it up and make sure that you've said everything you want to say or talked about everything you want to talk about. So if anybody wants to bring something up, please feel free.
Can we all talk about what a great ally Joe is? Like, for a minute,
Yes,
like,
can we
everybody
No,
here.
no, you can't talk about it.
No, because that is
My
one of the things that
beautiful buddy.
we touch on, because this has
cannot
always been a
touch-
safe space for queer authors.
Mhm.
Go Indie Now has always been a safe space for all of us. None of us that I know of and that I've talked to have ever felt othered and like, oh yeah, we need an only LGBT panel. In fact, I was the one who suggested this, I think. This was one of the things in my list that I gave you, I think. And we never had to be specifically queer just to get featured.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that, again, is very important. That is one of the things I want to mention. If you are going to have us everywhere. And one of the things that I want to let people know, because there are even some people I know who are LGBT who are actively working against themselves with some of the things they say and they feel, because that's what society does. That's what this fear surrounding this new political regime does. And I just want to let everyone know, you cannot shut us up. We will not be silent. We are going to keep writing. We are going to keep existing. We are going to keep letting everybody know that we're here and we deserve to exist. And thankfully, with the help of, again, straight cis people who are able to give us a platform when it's always straight cis people who exclude us. So thank you, Joe. Thank you for letting us keep being rebels by existing.
And I do want to hold space for people who don't feel like they can do that. Like, that is also a valid option. There are plenty of us who will be loud if you don't feel safe, and if you don't feel up to the fight, and if you don't want to put yourself out there or put yourself at risk. AJ, I know you said you were going to keep your head down. That is completely valid, and you don't have to.
We will be loud for everyone who can't, especially in areas where you're not safe. We'll make it safe one day.
Yeah, I think ultimately it is our responsibility, you know, to, if you're looking at diversity, if you're looking at marginalized communities, not just LGBTQ, you know, if you have the ability, the strength and the courage to stand up and speak, then stand up and speak, create that wall, lift them up. You know, that's our job, is to do that if we have that ability. I'm one of those people, like I said, I never shut up. I'm sure my husband's sick of hearing about it. But, you know, the fact is, like, that's always been my personality. I'm an introvert for sure, but when it comes to like something I'm socially passionate about, I will speak up. And I think if you have that ability, see it as your responsibility. Apathy is as bad as the other side. So you have to be able to say, I'm willing to put myself on the line for somebody else.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about?
Sign up for our newsletters at
You'll get that moment here in a minute.
So what was your newsletter again?
So Lily brought, so we do a segment called the epilogue on our show, but we just didn't feel like we wanted this conversation to have its own legs and have its own discussion, and wherever it was going to go, that's where we were going to take it. But Lily made a suggestion that we bring up some books that maybe people can look to and talk about, if and please feel free to include your own amongst that. But I would love to hear from everybody some books that they might want to recommend to people out there who maybe aren't familiar with this space and can get familiar with this space.
I just got prepared. One of my recommendations is This Poison Heart by Kaylin Barron. She is a Black and queer author, and this little duology is fantastic. It will break your heart in like the good way. She also writes queer fairy tale retelling. She's got Cinderella is Dead and just put out a Snow White retelling. F.T. Lukens is a non-binary author and writes lots and lots of queer media. This is just one of their books. It's a Little Mermaid retelling. And they do a really good job of telling their stories in a way that is really relatable and really realistic. And the themes, even if it's not overtly queer, is speaking to the queer experience. And then, of course, my own book, The Book of the Witch's Son, features a non-binary romance and a character who's grappling with what side of their identity they belong to.
Nice. Who wants to go next?
I guess I will. Since
we're all like, everybody's like, yes, me.
Yeah. No. I just had a question. Does it have to be a book, or can it be a creative?
No.
Okay. Well, I would like to share a creative. So my own child, Seven Coveney, is on Facebook, Instagram under Seven Coveney. They are a DJ. They make jewelry. Really supporting like trans artists. Of course, they struggle, in the world. So like definitely trying to support someone like that would be huge, because it makes rent.
Awesome. Go support that, everybody. Give me that link, Juliet. I'll put it in the description for everybody too.
Okay.
I'd say as far as artists go, Kay Flay is a great musician that I'm a fan of, and she is lesbian, or at least she's in a gay relationship. I don't know. I can't like quantify her queerness because I don't know her personally, but I really like her music, and it's some powerful stuff that she writes, music she makes. So.
I want to bring out the reason that I actually suggest this, because I do want to promote the person who helped me come out of the closet. I unfortunately don't have her books anymore. I even had it signed, but I am wearing her t-shirt. This is Otep. She is a lesbian metal and hip hop musician, and she is also a poet and a short story writer with multiple novels out. We do believe she, after 23 years, will be retiring from music, and she is the strongest voice for anyone who is in the queer community. And I do want to just uplift her, because I don't know if I would be here without her encouragement, her making me realize it's okay to not be straight. That she was the first person that made me realize who I was. So I do want to uplift her. And if I'm going to be talking, I hope that some people will go and check out a couple of my novels. In Gingerbread Kisses, I have Christmas Cookie Crumbles, which is a very sweet, cute lesbian relationship. I have The Vampire Mistress. I have Lie to Me. I have almost all of my books under Samantha Calcott, except for 2 are LGBT. So please support all of us LGBT creators.
Nice.
I guess for mine, I don't have any pictures of my books because I have ADHD and I'm never prepared. So so I'm just going to name them as I've been getting a lot into different types of books this year. I am a huge fan right now of Evie Riley and Elsie Davis. Specifically some of their series. I've been binging them constantly. I'm going to have to mention AJ, of course, who I am a huge fan of her books. So, which is why we ended up co-writing a book together. Specifically her Wolves Dominion series, which I absolutely love. And then I'm going to have to mention probably, my own books at some point. Obviously, like you see Archmage on the side here. So I have a couple of more Wide Shoes stuff, which Archmage is in the Wide Shoes category, which is a male book with a loving female added in there. I have my best-selling Voices in the Dark, which is another Why Choose Dark monster romance. And I am actually going to be releasing a lot more books next year, strictly focused in the male and hopefully female category. So.
And I'll mention a couple indie films for everybody out there. One in particular is a good friend of mine, and his name's Mark Schwab, and he did an indie thriller, an LGBTQ indie thriller called Shadows in Mind, and it's very, very good, and it has a really cool twist ending. So I would definitely check that out. And then the movie called Bound, which was about 1980, 90-ish movie starring Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon, about a heist that went wrong, and two women who find each other in that heist. So it's a very, very good film, and strong female characters, LGBTQ themes, and a lot of ass kicking. So if you're into both of those things, there is LGBTQ stuff that you can check out, and especially in the indie space, in the indie film space. All right, so let's go down the line and tell everybody where we can find you lovely, lovely humans and all you do. And you can, mention your newsletter if you'd like. That's right. All right, Ariel, start us off.
So I am Ariel Dawn. You can find me at ariel-dawn.com. I am pretty much everywhere you buy books, since I am hybrid published, and I am everywhere on social media, either as author Ariel Dawn or just Ariel Dawn. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, Lily.
As mentioned, I am Lily Lucchesi. I write everything from paranormal to dark romance to sweet romance, all sorts of pairings, all sorts of lifestyles. You can find me under the name Lily Lucchesi or Samantha Calcott or S.L. Sinclair on Amazon. And I post most of all my new releases under Lily Lucchesi on Facebook and Instagram, and now Blue Sky. I am now posting there as well. So please give me a follow. Just know that you will also be getting tons of memes, queer content, and a lot of music.
All right, AJ.
I'm AJ Mulliken. You can find me at surprise, ajmulliken.com. If you go to ajmulliken.com/author, there's all my media links there, even the ones I don't use much. And you can find me on Amazon as AJ Mulliken.
All right, Juliet.
Yeah, so you can find me on my website, authorjulietrose.com. All my books are on, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Amazon, places like that. I also have a website, AboveTheRainCollective.com, which is our small publisher that we're working on.
Awesome. Toby?
I'm October K. Santorelli, and you can find me at octoberksantorelli.com, which is also where you can sign up for my newsletter. You can get signed books through my shop, but you can also find me on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all of that. For the Book of the Witch's Son, City of Day is being relisted. I just got the rights back. So
awesome. All right, everybody. And I'm Joe Compton, and this is Go Indie Now, and I'm so grateful to each and every one of my guests and my beautiful family here for joining us. Please, if you're the first time here, like, subscribe, and comment. And I just want to say I've been pretty quiet about this. I wanted to make sure that the voices that needed to be heard were heard in this. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't fuck around. And if you come from my friends, you're going to have to go through me to get to them. And you're not going to like that. I guarantee it. So We're going to continue to support and make sure that marginalized voices and all people and all indie creators get the love that they deserve, because they all deserve it. And that's very important to me. And I want to thank my guests, my chat, everybody who was here. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation, because as you know, it's always time to go indie now. We'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.